Prolapse Leviathan, a name whispered by sailors in fear. A creature of the deep, spoken of in hushed tones and drunken ramblings. It was a thing of nightmares, a grotesque mockery of life itself. Its flesh a tapestry of tumorous growths and pulsating cysts, writhed and shifted. A kaleidoscope of obscene colours, it shimmered beneath the murky waves. Tentacles, thick as a galleon's masts and slick with a viscous slime, snaked through the depths. Each one, a living entity, throbbed with a macabre sentience. They reached, always reaching for something, anything to pull into the Leviathan's maw. Its eyes, a multitude of mismatched orbs, peered from beneath folds of blubber and scar tissue. Some were milky white, others a sickly yellow. Some wept a constant stream of blood, staining the Leviathan's flesh with crimson streaks. And then there was the smell, a stench so potent, so utterly foul it could turn the strongest stomach. It was the smell of rot and decay, of 1,000 years of death concentrated into a single, suffocating miasma. It was the smell of Prolapse Leviathan. The Leviathan was a being of pure, unadulterated hunger, its very existence a curse upon the sea. The scent of its passing lingered for weeks, a warning to all marine life. Sailors, catching a whiff of that abominable odour, knew to turn their ships and flee. For the Leviathan was not content with simply consuming flesh. It revelled in the suffering of its victims, in the slow, agonising death it inflicted. It would wrap its tentacles around ships, dragging them down to the abyss. Sailors trapped within their wooden coffins would claw at the walls, their screams muffled by the crushing pressure of the deep. The Leviathan would savour their terror, their cries for mercy music to its warped and ancient mind. Deep in the trenches where sunlight dared not penetrate, the Leviathan made its home. Here, amidst the crushing pressure and the eternal darkness, lived creatures as grotesque and unsettling as the Leviathan itself. Blind, albino fish with razor-sharp teeth darted through the water, their bodies bioluminescent, casting flickering shadows on the cavern walls. Giant isopods, their chitinous shells covered in pulsating sores, crawled along the seabed, feasting on the scraps the Leviathan left behind. These were the Leviathan's neighbours, creatures warped by the same unknowable forces that had birthed their master. They existed in a symbiotic relationship, each feeding off the other's misery. The most unsettling aspect of the Leviathan was its collection. Embedded within its pulsating flesh, nestled amongst the tumorous growths and weeping sores, were eyes. Hundreds of them, perhaps thousands, eyes of every shape and size from every creature imaginable. Human eyes filled with a terror that lingered long after death. Fish eyes, wide and unblinking, staring into the abyss. Even the eyes of birds, somehow preserved in their death throes, forever gazing at a sky they could no longer reach. Each eye told a story, a tale of suffering and despair. They were trophies, grim reminders of the Leviathan's insatiable hunger. It was said that the Leviathan gained a portion of its victims' memories through their eyes, experiencing their final moments over and over again. One day, a fishing vessel, the Siren's Call, stumbled upon the Leviathan's hunting grounds. The crew, unaware of the danger that lurked beneath the waves, cast their nets hoping for a bountiful catch. But the only thing that answered their call was death. The Leviathan, sensing prey, rose from the depths. The sea churned as its massive form breached the surface, its tentacles lashing out like whips. The Siren's Call, a mere toy in the face of such power, was tossed about like a leaf in a hurricane. The crew, their faces pale with terror, could only watch in horror as the Leviathan drew closer, its eyes gleaming with a malevolent hunger. A young woman, Esmeralda, stood on the docks, her heart heavy with dread. Her lover, Marco, was among the crew of the Siren's Call. She had pleaded with him not to go, her dreams haunted by images of a monstrous creature from the depths. But Marco, hardened by years at sea, had laughed off her fears. The sea was his livelihood, he had said, and the sea held no monsters. Now, as Esmeralda watched the storm rage, she knew in her heart that her nightmares had become reality. The other women of the wharf tried to comfort her, but their words were hollow. They had lost husbands, fathers, sons to the sea. They knew, as Esmeralda was coming to know, that the ocean was a cruel and unforgiving mistress. The Leviathan's tentacles wrapped around the Siren's Call, crushing the hull like an eggshell. Sailors screamed, their pleas for mercy swallowed by the roar of the storm. One by one, they were plucked from the deck and dragged beneath the waves. Their screams, muffled by the water, reached Esmeralda's ears as a tortured symphony of despair. She fell to her knees, her cries echoing across the empty wharf. In her grief, she cursed the sea, cursed the creature that had taken her love. And as she cursed, a thought took root in her mind. A desperate, horrifying thought. She would offer herself to the Leviathan, a trade, a life for a life. Esmeralda plunged into the churning waters. The cold embraced her, pulling her down, down into the abyss. She swam towards the monstrous shape she could barely make out through the gloom, her heart pounding in her chest. As she drew closer, the full horror of the Leviathan was revealed. Its flesh, a tapestry of decay, writhed and pulsated. Its eyes, a multitude of staring orbs, followed her every move. She reached out, her hand touching the creature's slimy flesh. A surge of revulsion ran through her, but she pushed it down, her resolve hardening. She had made her choice. The Leviathan, sensing her presence, opened its maw. It was a cavernous abyss, filled with rows of jagged teeth and a darkness so profound it seemed to suck the light from her very soul. She was about to be consumed, her life extinguished in a single horrifying moment. But then, something shifted in the Leviathan's gaze. One of its countless eyes, a human eye filled with a familiar terror, seemed to widen. For a brief moment, Esmeralda could have sworn she saw a flicker of recognition, of regret. It was an impossible thought, and yet there it was. A glimmer of something other than hunger in the depths of that monstrous eye. The moment passed. The Leviathan's maw slammed shut, the sound echoing through the water like a death knell. Esmeralda was gone, swallowed whole by the creature from the deep. The storm subsided as quickly as it had arisen. The sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden light on the now calm sea. But on the wharf there was no celebration, only a silence heavy with grief. The Leviathan had claimed its due, but the eye, the human eye, continued to stare out from the creature's flesh. And in its depths, the terror remained, forever reflecting the last moments of Esmeralda, a sacrifice to the unending hunger of the deep.
Depths where shadows coil and creep, A Leviathan stirs from an ancient sleep. Tentacles rise, breaking through the mist. With a wrathful power the sea can't resist. Storm is brewing, hear the thunder roar. Fear the depths for the monsters at the shore. Prolapse Leviathan, rise from the deep. Awaken the terror the ocean weeps. In the wreckage of silence, let rage take flight. Feed the fury, dark as the night. The ship is drifting, caught in its gaze. A prison of water, lost in a haze. Darkness surrounds, let the chaos begin. Drowning in nightmares, welcome to sin. Scream for mercy, but the tide won't hear. The Leviathan comes, feeding on fear. Prolapse